Hey guys, long time no video, I guess. It's been a while, quite a while. Um, Still got my Geminis, still working on them. But I guess I should probably show you guys what I've been doing in the last year or so. First thing you'll probably notice if you're a follower of my videos is this is not where I usually take them. I've moved to a different place just down the road, and just very recently, and just started getting all the cars over and working on them. So I guess it's about as good a time as any to post an update and show you where I'm at. So there are a few things that are different. I'll actually go through pretty much everything that's changed, starting with this. This is not a Gemini, obviously. This is a Nissan Safiro with nice multicoloured wheels on it. This is my new everyday car. I got sick and tired of driving around Geminis every day. They were too uncomfortable, too loud, too harsh. So I moved up in the world a bit. Well, in some ways. So I bought a Safiro. It's not the sort of car I'd normally pick, but I needed something that was 6-cylinder, 4 doors, something that I actually liked. I wasn't going to go and buy a Commodore or a Falcon because that's not really my style. And I was actually going to buy a Rodeo or something, keeping in the Isuzu family, and this came up at a reasonable price and I bought it. Paid $5 for it. It's not turbo. That's the first thing I'll say, is it's not turbo. Probably a good thing, considering how a car like this can be a bit of a handful sometimes if you're not particularly skilled. So yeah, it's non-turbo. It's a single cam as well. It's an RB20E. It's the very basic motor that these came out with because, of course, Safiros were considered more taxis than anything else in Japan, so they only offered them with baby motors. But of course, all the nice Safiros you see have got the twin cam, turbo motors, RB30, RB25, what have you. So yeah, I've only just bought it very recently, so there's still a lot of things I've got to do to it, obviously. I didn't paint the wheels myself. I bought it like that, so I've got to either change them or paint them. I'll get around to that eventually. And it had front and rear Ortec bars. This is the front one. It used to be black because the previous owner bought them and didn't paint them for the car. When I first saw it, it had stock bars front and rear, but he swapped them for the kit. So I painted this one. It's not perfect, you can probably see it's a little bit off in the colour, but it's the best I could do considering. I matched it by eye as well, so that's not too bad. And on the back, the rear bar was coming to pieces, so I decided to get myself another stock one, and obviously I've still got to paint it. But it just makes the car look so much nicer and so much neater, because as much as this is an import and as much as I do like these cars, I bought a Safiro over something like a Skyline because I liked the performance and the capabilities of a Skyline in the more sedate sedan styling of a Safiro. Well, anyway, I'll leave it with that one, and I'll show you guys the new working conditions, which I've only just started really setting up, so please bear with me. This is the new shed. I have to organise things a little bit better than what I have, but I'm on a bit of a time frame at the moment with one of these cars, so I've just sort of got everything here and started working. And again, another thing you'll notice is you guys wouldn't have seen this car before. This is a new one. It was actually not new. I've had it for a while now. It just shows how long it's been since I've taken any videos. It's obviously a coupe. This is not the orange coupe. The orange coupe that I was working on a couple of years ago, that's since gone, along with a couple of other shells. The white TX that I had, that's now gone. The blue TE sedan that I had, I was trying to make into a truck car, that's also gone. The damage on it was too severe for me to fix. So this is taking its place as my track shell. Basically setting this thing up for drift to start with, then sort of developing it over a period of time to make it into a proper hill climb grip Motorcana sort of setup. But yeah, just to start with, to get me some practice, and because I want to get into drifting, obviously driving a Zafira around, I do have a bit of an interest in that sort of thing. So yeah, this is it. There's a bit of a mess around because I cleaned it out today, but yeah, I got a basic workbench and all my tools, most of my tools set up, and yeah, bits and pieces, just a shed basically. So I'll just quickly take you guys through this one. I bought it last year, just about a year ago actually, for $500. A rolling shell, so front and rear suspension, brakes, and some form of an interior, but that was about it. Came with that boot lid, so if you guys might remember, this boot lid actually came off of the orange car, all rusty and everything. I'll explain why it's sitting on the car and the good one isn't in a moment, but as far as actual rust in the shell goes, it's not too bad. I've owned enough Geminis now that I know how to pick them, and this one's slightly above average for a coupe. It's got it in the usual spots. The floor pan's got a few wisps down in there, but no holes, which is the main thing. Bottom of the A-pillars are fairly good. The tops of the A-pillars, the corners of the engine bay, do tend to rust out pretty badly, and this one's had a bit of a dodgy plate job done. I've since had a friend welded up a plate there. I have to recoat it though, because I have been leaving it sitting a bit. But it's strong and it's structural, which is the important bit. You can see, very commonplace, which not many people know about, is that's where the heater box normally goes. It sits on your firewall. They can tend to rust in that spot. And this is also one of the very early TXs, so most of them have the washer bottle sitting here, but on the early TXs it was sitting here. And a very nice place for you to get rust is right behind it. So that's probably the worst area out of all of it. I can always just put the cover where the washer bottle sits on back over it to cover it, but as far as making it structural, I should probably do something about it. But yeah, bought it as a rolling shell, and this is how it's sitting now. It had a lot less done to it over the year, but I've decided to pull my finger out and get some work done. So it's got a few goodies that I've since installed. Got a good steering rack in there just the other day, with good bushes, steering rack bushes there and there. If you have a bit of play in your steering, that's usually the bushes that will flog out. They're not too expensive either. These are Super Pro, and I got a whole kit for about $300, but the individual bushes are about slightly under 50 on eBay or similar places, and it just makes such a huge difference the way the car drives. The wagon that I used to daily, I replaced the whole front end bushes in that, and it changed the car. So all the steering rack's been clamped down. It's got a different front cross member in as well. I replaced that and decided to rebuild the front suspension from scratch with new bushes. I've got my hot wires on the front of there, but basically the re-bearinged hubs, the slotted discs and good calipers with good pads from my red Gemini, my TD, I swapped all that over and put it all together. It's also got rebushed upper and lower control arms, and it's still got oldish tie rods, but new upper and lower ball joints as well. So basically just making it the best I can to get me started, but not perfect. Moving around, again, very good for rust in the doors. There's a little wisp there, but considering it's not, it's not the worst it could possibly be. The sills are good as well; they're not too bad. Inside, it had a fairly basic dash. I was actually going to put a fiberglass one that I've got sitting over there, but I just don't have time because I am trying to finish this car in a couple of weeks. So just using a standard dash is probably better for the short term. Inside is, it's pretty bare, obviously, being race car spec. Got a deep dish steering wheel that I bought recently, which is good for drift for the obvious reason. It's closer to you. It's easier to spin in your hands. A nice custom handbrake with the stuck-on button. Good for handbrake entries and all that sort of stuff. I actually also have some Lexan windows, but I don't have time to change the rear screen, so I'll just be doing the quarter windows to start with. And going back to the rear, as I said, the rusty boot lid, the reason I put that on is for two reasons. One, I like the look of it with a rusty or boot lid on the back of it. It's a bit rat rod spec. But also, that coupe boot lid is the only panel on the car that's mint, and I mean mint. And coupe boot lids are extremely hard to find in good condition, so I'd hate to bang it up out drifting. I mean, drifting a coupe in the first place seems a bit strange, but this was the shell that came up, and I do like the style of the car, and it's distinctive for a drift car as well. So, but yeah, just keeping it on there for, I need a panel on the car, and that's the worst condition one that I have, per se. So that seems to be the logical choice. And the same with the rear bumper as well. I've got heaps and heaps of chrome bumpers, but this is, again, a little bit of surface rust. It sort of gives it character, but just picking out a fairly average one so that I don't waste any good panels or good bumpers. Underneath, they'll talk about the wheels as well in a second, but underneath is standard Borg Warner, but it's been welded by a friend. So I've got the both wheels locking up properly, and an adjustable panhard rod, and Coney shocks. All shocks adjustable, front and rear. The rears are reds and the fronts are yellows. If you've been looking on eBay in recent times, you probably would have seen them on there. That's where I got them from. About $600 for the whole set, which is pretty bloody good considering. I know a couple of guys who drift Geminis now, and Coney shocks definitely the way to go. Don't even bother with gas stuff like KYBs or Munros or Petters. Just go Coneys or Bilsteins if you can find them. All shocks makes the biggest difference out of any suspension change you can make to a Gemini, especially to a short wheelbase and lightweight car like this. And this thing here, I'm aiming for about 800 kilograms, so it's featherweight. It's so light. It's so easy to push around as well. So getting it through corners and everything should be pretty damn easy. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably wondering about these wheels, which, just looking at it, you can tell it's got a hell of a lot of dish on it, and sits pretty much in line with the guard. Well, basically, I got them off of sort of a chance purchase that I managed to score for about $480 posted. That's without tyres, of course, but the wheels are just sort of no-name steel wheels, but they're 15 by 8 with a completely dead neutral offset, so 0. And it is about perfect for a Gemini. It sits perfectly in the guard, and these are 195 tyres on them that I've fitted, but you can see there's a tiny little bit of, not much, but there's a little bit of stretch on it, which brings the sidewall in. I've got to flare the arches a little bit better as well to give me clearance, and it's not staying at this height either. The rear springs are some Commodore spec Petters rears that I've chopped a coil off of. Yeah, there you go. I've got to take at least another coil off them to bring them to the right height. And yes, I know cutting springs is not really the right way of doing things, but Petters, Commodore Petters seem to be incredibly stiff, much stiffer than anything you can buy off the shelf for a Gemini. And it is a track car; it's not seeing the road, so you know, I'll take my risks. And the most important thing, the motor and gearbox, which is going to be a G180Z NA and just a regular old 4-speed for usability's sake, because you won't never need to use fifth gear on a drift track. I bought the motor as a rebuild earlier this year, only to find that it had serious issues. I won't really go into it, but I tried to run it in a different car and pushed all its oil out, well, actually no, it had a busted head. Had a huge number of cracks in it through the water galleries and everything else, so putting a different head on it with a new gasket, and I'll just move this toolbox out of the way, and I'll show you guys the inlet which came with it. So pretty basic, Weber 3236 on a standard manifold. I do know that this carburetor works, and it works quite well, because I did run the motor for a brief period and drove it, and apart from it overheating, the motor was fine. I do need to set up all the linkages and everything else and bolt it all together, but the motor, the bottom end is at the other house, just down the road, so I've got to move it all here. That's the next step. And once I've got all that together, just little bits and pieces, and getting the seats in, my Cobra buckets I bought for about $320 for the pair. I still got to do the seat rails, but yeah, I'll get there. So all this is basically because there's an event coming up soon that I'm entering. Today is the 13th of October? 13th? And the event is on the 2nd and the 3rd of November, so a couple of weeks away. I've already put in my entry, so I have to get cracking with it and get it all together, but I'm on schedule. Main things were getting the motor and gearbox in and the front suspension, which I've since done, so that's half the job. And yeah, just tidying up the little bits and pieces, and hopefully it all works and all drives properly. So I'll be taking videos again, starting today, with my progress with it and showing you guys how I do. And hopefully when I go out to the track, I'll be able to take some footage of me driving it, because you know, that's the whole point. And also I'll be showing you guys the red TD, which I've still got, and another project that I'm going to be starting after this one. I'll leave that for a secret though. Alright, I'll catch you guys next time. It's nice to be back.